Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you live to episode number 6 of the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series. I'm Joey Jarzynka. I'm joined by Executive Director of FA Euro from USL League Two, Marco Balsamo. Cannot thank you enough, Marco, for joining me here on my newest project on the Eastern Observer and the Blackjack Media Networks. We're also going to be taking live comments as well on our YouTube page, and hopefully Marco and myself will be able to coordinate those answers and get them to you and get you to become a little more interactive on this podcast here. So, Marco, how is your family, and how are you doing amid this whole COVID-19 crisis?
I mean, we're doing the best we can. I mean, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone who's affected by it and all the players. Our family, thankfully, we're all doing okay. We decided to get a mini ping pong table thing and set up a tournament. And my brother
excellent.
destroying all of us, and he just became like a prodigy overnight. So that's how we're passing the time. So ping pong and just preparing for the next season.
Well, I think now next time I see you, when all of this is done, I might have to you might have to come here and do the and play on my ping pong table. Might have to have a little competition here with everybody.
We get quite competitive. I lost like straight 3 matches in a row, and I had trouble sleeping, and I'm preparing to.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's the so instead of watching movies, or instead of you writing movies or producing them, you play ping pong. I like that. That's definitely something on the to-do list for sure, for those that need something to do.
Definitely, and like I said, it's not just soccer. So, and it sucks because there's no soccer and no sports to watch. And yesterday I actually watched the NFL draft for the first time in my life. It was an online thing, and actually one of a Poly Prep alumni got drafted, which was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was that?
I forgot his name. I have to find out. But it was I think he got drafted to the Ravens. Hold on, I'll pull it up right now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Isaiah Wilson taken by the Titans.
Okay. Wow. I never knew that he was Poly Prep royalty. That's fantastic.
Kind of cool.
Well, yeah. So for those that are wondering why Marco Balsamo brought up Poly Prep, we'll be speaking about that later on in our little conversation here. But let's start this off here. And, for those that do not know who Marco Balsamo is and the reason and the significance of him being on here, I've had the blessing to meet him and his wonderful family at our alma mater at St. John's University. You are class of 2013. I'm class of 2018. Really would have been 17, but you know how I am. So Marco, you decided to go to St. John's University and pursue a career in film and television. Talk a little bit about your decision to head to the corner of Utopia and Union.
Yeah. So to be honest, I was actually going to go to Fordham.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had the acceptance letters getting ready to go to Rose Hill, and it was late in the game. I remember it was late in August. I decided just to swap out for St. John's, and I was thankful that I did. I mean, the reason behind it was scholarship money, so I just decided to take that route. But I did major in television film. I minored in Mandarin, which is another little fun fact. Can't speak a word of it now, but it's just good. And I've met amazing people along the way, and my first film project actually emanated from a screenplay that I did at St. John's my freshman year, and that was the first film project that actually ended up pursuing, and I started working professionally. So St. John's really kind of paved the way through all the connections I made over there, and also like connections with you and how we kind of connected and ended up 7 years later, kind of after graduating, just doing what we love doing on a professional level. So I'm really thankful for the personal relationships that I've made along the way there.
Yeah, it's wild because I met you just by opening gates, and I was an intern, an operations intern, and I remember I couldn't figure out in the athletic communications department there were no internships available, and I knew that I had to do something, and I know a lot of people say, well, you take what's given to you and you don't say no to an opportunity. And I remember I was like, do I really want to be doing this? And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it in the summer. It's non-paid. It's an internship, whatever. And all of a sudden, I remember someone said to me, "Oh, you're going to be working about, I think it was like, I think it's seven home games for FA Euro." And I said, "Who the hell is FA Euro?" And they said, "Oh yeah, they're a team in Brooklyn, and they play for this league called the PDL." They said, "Do you ever hear of the Long Island Rough Riders?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds familiar. They're in the same division." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." And I remember the first day that we met, where your PA guy, I don't remember who it was, but did not show up. And I remember you asked me, you said, "Can you do this?" And I was stoked to do it. And then I remember, from that point on, it was history. And I remember my boss, Danny Hagenlocker, did not want me to do it because he wanted me to be focused on everything else. So, clearly making the personal connections, making friends, obviously, I'm beyond blessed that you're on here, you know, talking with me about our meetings together, and our working relationship and everything else along those lines. And, our experience going to Jimmy Fallon together,
That's
a few,
awesome.
a few years ago, right? A few years
That's
ago,
awesome.
and a good trip to Halal Guys after.
Yeah. I still have to digest
And you
my.
actually, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say we haven't and that was about, I think, almost 3 or 4 years ago. Wild stuff.
I remember you didn't know a thing about soccer back then.
Yeah.
And it's just because you're not you're not a soccer guy from the background, but just to see you grow and evolve and actually kind of fall in love with the club and the sport was something I really enjoyed watching and observing from, like close up and personal, and just to see you improve and get better over the years, it's just remarkable. So kudos.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Marco. And I think now is a perfect time to say that this broadcast is actually in conjunction with Marco's club, FA Euro. So I do apologize for not bringing that up in the beginning, following Blackjack Media Networks. But this is also a cross promotion of FA Euro New York and the Euro Youth Football Association. But you speak about St. John's and the personal connections, and now your brother Vincent goes there. That's unbelievable. He goes there now, and he could be following in your footsteps, and you never know who he could be meeting along the way as well.
Yeah, he's actually taken an interest in television and film. Naturally, I didn't force him or kind of push him, but he's way smarter than I am in terms of academics. I mean, he has like a 3.9. And
Wow.
I did well as well, but I did well also in school, but it just comes so naturally to him. And I really believe he does have a bright future in film, because he's a cinephile. He's watched classical films. His knowledge of films from, in different eras and different genres, it's remarkable. And he really is talented and he's passionate. So, I mean, for me, it would be an honor. That's kind of like a long held dream of mine, is to kind of work like the way I work with my family in football, but also to work with my brother in film. And the idea, hopefully, like down the line, is to be something along the lines of a Coen brothers duo where you make films with your brother, and I think that would be amazing. So
And I could, and you know what? And I could see the two of you working together for sure, because the way that you guys are such not only a family environment, because a part of the club, you've brought me in almost as family, which is, again, I'm blessed to be a part of. But also, again, just the way you guys work together and the people that you've brought in, and they're not blood. So I can only imagine what you do for your own blood, which again is remarkable, admirable, all of the, ables. So yeah, no, I think, I've said this countless times too. Vincent is beyond smart, and I've seen a lot of smart people, but there's a different level when it comes to your brother, for sure, academically. And I remember he was talking about years ago, he was thinking about where he was going, and asking me for, where should I go? And I was saying, no, I think St. John's is pretty good, walking your brother's footsteps and everything like that. I think there was, you think he knew, if I'm not mistaken, did he know what he wanted to do right away?
No, not really. He kind of went in, I think freshman year he was undecided. Now this is its sophomore year already, which is crazy how time flies by. But,
It's insane. Yeah.
It really is. But he made the decision this year, if I'm not mistaken, or late semester, second semester of freshman year, But he's quite smart because he's not putting all his chips in television film. I think he's majoring in either business or marketing or something in that field, because he knows he has that background and could kind of use me to help him like funnel his way through what decisions he needs to make and kind of open those doors to him. It's funny because I can't mention what it's about, but this current project that I'm working on now, a part of it's because of him, because he actually showed me this idea and he's like, look, check this out. I read this article about this story that he came across, and fast forward like a year later, it's actually, we're in pre-production. It's worldwide release. Can't say much about it, which kind of stinks, but it's the reason why it came across our desk is because of him. So just imagine like how things trickle and like that domino effect. So he knows what he's doing. He's wise beyond his years, and whatever he touches, I know will turn to gold. And
and you said it perfectly, obviously, and we're gonna get into your movie career in a second, because I'm beyond grateful to see some of the work that you've done that has been produced already. Obviously, being the most successful one that I have not gotten to watch yet, but I do have it on my to-do list. Ladies and gentlemen, on Netflix, Marco Balsamo, The Brave is the movie that is on there, and your good friend Armand Asante as well. Really, really fun, fun stuff. And to see you also made a cameo appearance in that as well.
I did.
So,
if you stick around for the end credits, I put some Easter eggs and gave some shout outs to some FA Euro people as well. So and we also had an FA Euro reference in there. It was an Easter egg, but that didn't make the final cut. So I kind of trickled it with as many cameos and little Easter eggs as possible.
Well, I got to tell you, though, being, again, I can guarantee you the people that are watching or will be watching this, not many people can say, well, I've been on Netflix, my face, my voice, whatever, or even a film that I could, write or whatever would be on Netflix, and you've done it, and you're in your late 20s right now, and not a lot of people get it done until, I don't know, 40s, 50s, or potentially never. So you're really in a blessed spot right now to be doing what you love. Speak about your relationship with Armand Asante, because he's another big actor that a lot of people know about, and you're really close with him.
Sure. So Armand is one of the main reasons why I actually end up getting the gig for writing the script. I mean, at the time, the original script was going through major rewrites, and the current writer at that time, because I wasn't originally scheduled to write it, and the reason being was because I was too young, which I understood, and I kind of took that on the chin and just let it go. So Armand was like, we had a conversation with the director, and Armand was the first to go, this needs major rewrites. And the current writer at the time decided, there was nothing he could do, and it just became a logistical issue. So I volunteered and I said, why don't, let me give it a shot. And Armand's like, give the kid a shot. Wrote the script fairly quickly because we were approaching production, and it turned into this, just became, from doing from doctoring the script, it turned into a complete overhauled rewrite. And it was a completely different script. And Armand was the one who really championed behind it. And then he invited me over to his farm in upstate, and we just went over lines after line after line and kind of feeding into the character. And he really believed in me. And honestly, he was probably one of very few people who said, this is the version that we're going with, and this is what it is. And I'm deeply indebted to him, and he is a great friend. We come from similar backgrounds. Funny story, when I was in high school, I watched The Odyssey, which was one of his biggest films.
Yes.
He was leading that, and I did a paper on it. And then not even like 8 years later, I ended up writing scenes with him and actually writing my first feature film where he's the lead. So he's a sweetheart. He's done so much in films. I really compare him. He's done over 200 films, but he's kind of in that same realm, like the De Niro's, like the Pacinos, like that old school Italian American kind of patriarchs of cinema, right? Like
Yeah.
and I mean, especially in the early '90s, I mean, he won an Emmy for Gotti.
Mhm.
Denzel Washington, he played an American gangster, like The Odyssey again, as I mentioned. But the thing is, off camera, he's a man that truly loves the craft, and he truly loves the art of it. And he's in his late 70s, and he's in the later stages of life. But I've never seen a man at that age who's so hungry and who's just so up to the task of flying out, doing 12-hour days for 20-day shoots, and just being able to have conversations with him, and him taking the time out to speak to younger talents and to the younger generation and kind of pass on his wisdom. So he's an amazing human being, and he's a terrific actor. And I do feel like he will be recognized by the Academy or larger, on a larger scale, because he kind of in the late 2000s, he wasn't in the spotlight like he was in the 90s, and I feel like he is going to get his due, because he really does deserve it. So like I said, he's just an amazing guy, and I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for him, because he really did fight for me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really it's funny that you talk about um, you know, Armand being able to basically give back and show the younger talent or the younger guys, guys and girls, of course, show them the ropes of the industry, and show them a little piece of the success that he was a part of, that he helped write certain films. He was a lead actor or anything along those lines. Now you how did you meet him? How did you meet him and get involved with Armand?
I met him through the people that I was working with before, and basically they just knew connections, and we were looking for basically a mafioso type to play this lead antagonist. And Armand was, a person, because the film's it's an independent film, so it's not a blockbuster where we have huge locations and set pieces. So Armand was a realistic approach because it was an isolated period of time. We were shooting it for 20 days. It was in Europe, and Armand has done a bunch of films in Europe, in Bulgaria specifically, and that's where we shot our film, in Sofia in Bulgaria. And a lot of people recommended him, and we just knew someone who knew him, and we just approached him. And he turned the film down. He turned it down from the original script, and his
Wow.
only condition of accepting the film is if the film was rewritten, and then that's where I came in, and that was my big break, and I took advantage of it, and the rest is history. But I definitely plan on working with him in the future. There's a bunch of films that I would love to bring him on, because he still has so much to offer. And it's fun. I'll give you a quick funny story. The,
Yeah.
la- the last day of shooting his scenes, I was on set. I won't spoil the film, but it's the last scene that he's in, and he's with the other lead actors. And these three actors are very big in Russia and Russian-speaking countries, and all three of them started crying watching, because it's an emotional scene.
Yeah.
Actors could cry they were crying legitimately, genuinely, also because he was leaving, and we spent some time together. But just to see the effect he had, and everyone just gave him a standing ovation because he was incredible. So he's just a guy who has so much class and so much style, and he just graces the room wherever he goes. But it was just amazing to see him have such a profound effect on others just by his skill.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and not only just by skill though, but also the way you speak about it too, is that his heart is open and he's willing to also work with, and I'm not saying that, that you're not talented, but also you got to realize too is that you're younger. You are
Right.
younger, and there are many other potential producers, writers, camera people, whatever, that are in the industry a lot longer than you. And he really he could say, well, I don't want to work with this kid. What does he know?
Yeah, I
He could.
expected it. I expected him to.
Right, because and it's the same thing in my business too. A lot of people can say, well, why would I want to hire him because he's only 24, 24 and a half years old, when
Right.
I could go get the 30-year-old or the kid from Fordham or something like that. For you, it's the instant connection that you had with him, and the effort, the strong effort, the work ethic that you bring, which is again insane, which we'll get to in a second, with your travel and everything. But that's something that he saw, and for you to be on there is not only it's a privilege, but you're blessed to be with a famed actor, a successful actor, and you can learn so much from him and from the people that he knows and the people that he knows that know others.
I did a kind of question, like a podcast question type thing with actually a former student at St. John's, a former classmate of mine,
Yeah.
and it was regarding film, and there was one question a student asked, how do you get your foot in the door?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the $1 million question, because you could go to school, you could go to Harvard, you could go, Ivy League, whatever, and if you don't have personal connections with people, you're not going to go anywhere. Or you don't have to, you don't go to college, and you could just meet someone and your life completely changes. And I really think at the end of it all, you have to just be a decent person, and you just have to make a good impression on everyone. Doesn't, I didn't, like me going into it, I just expected to be um, a producer because I was producing the film at the time, but that was probably, I've always wanted to be involved creatively, and that's a difficult part, because producing, as it is difficult as well, but producing is more business networking and kind of having that business sense, and that's not one of my fortes, so to speak. I feel a lot more comfortable in the creative realm, and honestly, I didn't even fight for it. He just basically said, "Aren't you a writer?" Yeah. I said, "Okay, show me what you can do." He maybe put me to the test. I don't know, but I think that's a huge thing that I really would kind of want to teach our players and the younger generations, that you never know when you're going to get an opportunity. But my best advice is to really make friends and be close to people that are older than you, because the older people are already doing it. And once they kind of pass that torch and they give you an opportunity, you should take it. And a lot of kids around our age, they're very impatient, and they grow frustrated very quickly. And I've noticed a lot of creative script writers in their 20s, like us, right? That they say, "Oh, my projects aren't going anywhere. I just want to quit." I feel like it's a wrong approach, because best example, Samuel L. Jackson, his first acting gig, he was 40. Yep. He was 47.
Yep.
He wasn't in his 20s. He was 47 years old, 47, 40, around that age, and he became Samuel L. Jackson. So I think we all want to do it too fast, and obviously it's a blessing to do it the sooner the better. But the world doesn't really work that way. I'm really lucky in that sense. But but I wouldn't be. I'm surprised. But if I did it again, I don't think it would happen to me as soon as it has, because of my personal relationships. So I mean, my advice to our generation: just be patient and keep doing what you love. Because if you're in an environment where you could kind of sustain yourself while doing what you love, even though you're not as satisfied and you're kind of hungry for it, keep pushing at it, and keep knocking at the door, because sooner or later someone's going to open it, and you never know, right? So now, as soon as you get one foot in the door, then everything becomes easier. So I don't have too much difficulty pitching projects now, because the first film ended up on Netflix. Now Netflix is a phone call away. But I've been doing this since I was 17. I was 17. So I've been doing it for 10 years now, 11 years now. So it's now you're just kind of seeing the beginning of the results of it, but there's a huge process to it. And a big key for me was I was genuinely close to people that were older than me, because I wanted to learn from them. They appreciated that. They reciprocated that feeling, and then they gave me the opportunity. And I really, really, really wish that the younger generation takes that advice, because it works, and it's happened to me.
Yeah. And obviously I won't go in, and I think you and I off camera have had talks about this through the years about the younger generation, but also the biggest thing that I see now is that, and something that, I'm guilty of, is that you don't maintain the relationships with some of your, not only your elders, but could be a potential mentor to you. And if you don't maintain that relationship, and this is not this is no insult to anybody, but this is the pure truth. You could be an ant on the floor and someone could step on you and they won't even know that they stepped on you. And if you don't reach out to them or keep in contact with that person, they're not going to remember you. And that's why the connections that both myself and you, Marco, have made, you have to keep in contact with those people, because you have to maintain, if you want to do something good for them, maybe, they could do something for you and potentially get you past that door or see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
well, if I flip, sorry to interrupt, but if I
no,
flip
you're
it,
good.
did you ever expect to be calling games at Madison Square Garden?
Nope. I could tell you that. No. And you said it. Did I ever think that I could be traveling with you guys to Virginia, to Ocean City, New Jersey, to, for the Red Bulls? Would I ever think that, where I could be, doing your social media, doing your pregame shows, doing all of this? No,
While being a student, while having part-time jobs, while, so yeah.
Yeah. And just to, and again, and not only that too, did I ever expect to meet a wonderful family like you guys and your club while opening gates? No. That is the last thing that I ever thought about. So for those people that are in, let's say, sales or whatever it may be, and you want to be a producer or a writer, well, guess what? You may see Marco somewhere that, I don't know, he could know somebody in, I don't know, in marketing, or you could see his brother, Vincent, or if someone wants to be a play-by-play guy like me, who knows? You're working for FA Euro, and you could potentially see JP Della Camara from ESPN. You don't know who you're going to run into, and those relationships you have to keep. You have to maintain them, because if you don't, then you're not going to get anywhere. And exactly what you said, you have to have the patience, but you also have to do your due diligence in keeping those relationships alive.
And also by being genuine, because if you're phony, people like us will see right through that. And
oh yeah.
And that's another thing. You have to be genuine in your intentions. And the idea is that we all get better and rise together, not that you use other people to kind of step over and kind of propel yourself. Because another big thing about we're in the entertainment industry. Soccer is entertainment, sports is entertainment, film is entertainment. Yep. It's a team. Everything revolves around the team. So if I know Joey Jarzynka is happy, that means the club is going to be operating. If I know Vincent is happy, the production will be happy. So and that's also why I really genuinely love the club so much, because it's not like I rule with an iron fist, or Joe or my dad rules with an iron fist. It's everyone's on the same level. We take ideas, we sit at the same table. We talk with all our coaches, and it is a family, because the family grows together, the family builds together. You build a house not for yourself, you build a house for those around you.
Right.
And you're kind of an accessory to that. So that's another key, is you have to, whatever you do it in the knowledge that how it affects other people, and needs to be in a positive way. And your growth will happen organically.
Right. It's true. And it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you know that you tried and you did exactly what you could do to eventually get there. And again, coming to work and going to the games, Marco, with you guys, last year and the last 4 years before that, you wake up with a smile on your face, and you wake up blessed, because you know that your work, it's not like, I got to go to work today. No, you're waking up happy, because I don't consider that a job. You know what I consider that as? I consider that what I'm blessed to be doing, and it's not considered work. You just love what you're doing. And that's the same thing with you. Just like when you travel all the time, there have been nights, I remember we've spoken, oh, I'm going to Los Angeles. What do you mean you're going to Los Angeles? I just saw you. Yeah. All right. I'll be back in 2 days. Oh, okay. What do you mean you're going to LA? I think about it as, oh, I gotta book that trip weeks ago. And, or many months ago, whatever. And, I figure you'll be out there for a week. Oh, no. I'll be there for a day. So that brings me to my next point. And I want to hear, and I think for all of those prospective film writers, or the ones that really want to be in this industry, give us a little bit of a a little dive into one of your, let's call them excursions across the country or even across the globe in just a few days. And then you're back here for a USL League Two game.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember I had to be in Indonesia. I think it was late May or something like that, for an animation project that I was working on, that I'm working on, and 12 hours ahead. So I would kind of call my parents like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up because then was in the afternoon, wake up 4 or 5 hours later, work on these projects, and then come back. And there was a time. Now the travel has been less extensive, thankfully. But if it wasn't for COVID, I would actually be overseas right now. But I remember there was a time where I was just traveling so extensively. There was at one point, I swear, we didn't know if we were in Sweden or Norway. Then it turned out we were in Norway, but we just traveled so much, and it does burn you out. And the film industry, one reason why I love writing is because naturally I'm kind of an introvert, and I do prefer to be able to work in an environment that I control exclusively. On a film set, everything changes on the fly. Everything changes on the fly, day to day, and it's a madhouse. And everyone has an ego, especially actors, and I love all my actors, but and everyone has an opinion. I'll give you a little fun story. We had to change part of the script in the film because it went against. There was a scene that goes against the character's, not the character, the actor's actual moral beliefs.
Oh boy!
And it was hilarious. I love him. He's a good friend. And I just get a knock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Get a knock at in my hotel room, and he goes, "I can't do this scene, and we're shooting the scene tomorrow." And I knock on the director's door. We had to change the scene because he couldn't do it. It would bring him to tears to do it. And I think if you see the film, you understand when you see the scene, because it's a quite emotional and it's a difficult scene to kind of watch. But the travel becomes part of it. I am very happy that I was able to kind of calm down with the travel, especially this year. But even though it is going to pick up, but in this business, it's not for the faint of heart or for people who are scared of flying, because you do travel a lot. And it's kind of funny because there was nightmare flights where I would just do 32-hour trips. For example, Indonesia to go to JFK, Guangzhou in China, it's 16 hours, and I had an 11-hour layover, and then from 11-hour layover, take 6 hours to go to Jakarta, wait 3 hours, and then 2 hours to go from Jakarta to Yogyakarta, and the time difference, and you're done for like 3 weeks, and you get burnt out right away. So you need to be constantly motivated, and you need to be constantly kind of sharp, because it does take a toll on you. And it's the same thing for soccer. I mean, it doesn't really affect our players, but at the professional level, players are on planes every weekend. If not planes, then they're taking trains, this and that, and you don't get to see your family as much. And that's just a sacrifice. I remember one of our players, Tristan.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be in Italy now, then he got injured, but we sent him to Italy last year. We sent him to Italy, then he got injured and came back. But he was going to end up living in a country that he didn't speak the language. He wasn't going to see his family for much, unless it was through FaceTime. And that's a reality of our business that maybe people don't realize. And that when people say, I want it, like I want to play professional, I want to be this, that, it's not as glamorous as kind of, it turns out to be, because there's a lot of legwork and there's a lot of mental strain. And
oh, yeah.
for family-oriented people, it's tough, because like, imagine if you're playing, let's say Tristan would go to Italy, he would have to go to finish school there or try to finish college or whatever, learn a language, even though he's doing what he loves, but he's also doing what he loves, and he's on the record of saying that. When we interviewed him in the Forza series Viaggio Part 1, he says he's doing this for his parents. So he's doing something he loves for his parents, even though he's not able to really be with them while he does what he loves. So it's kind of ironic how, there's a lot of sacrifice that's required in it. And travel is one of those things, and it really does take a toll. So I prefer to stay in New York as much as I can. I'm not a fan of LA, even though I'm in the industry. If you're an actor, you have to move to LA. But thankfully, I just do stupid cameos.
and you still get to live in New York.
And I still get to live in New York. So yeah, so the travel is tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the way the way you said that to go to China 16 hours and
Yeah.
then you have an 11-hour layover. I
And I almost
can't
missed
even
my flight in China. I almost missed it by 12 minutes.
yeah, no, I can't even no. That see, I remember like for St. Francis rather, and for those that don't know, I'm a sports information director at St. Francis College in Brooklyn, and for our non-conference for women's basketball this year, we had to go to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's only an hour difference, so you know you're dealing with that. And then really, what's an hour difference to Marco here, who's gone to Indonesia for 3 days or whatever, and then comes all the way back, but you're working with a huge time difference. And Marco, how many hours difference is that in time?
It's 12.
12 hours.
Yeah.
So you can go to the end of the earth and you could go to Australia and it's 15, 16 hours, 15, 16 hour difference. And it's literally tomorrow over there. And for me, for those that are trying to get into even, into the exactly what you said, Marco, and it's perfect, the broad entertainment industry, whether it be sports, whether it be whatever it may be, you have to know that you have to give something. And for me, I hate flying. I hate it. And I remember coming back from Milwaukee, and I don't think I told you this, Marco. We came back from Milwaukee. We were playing Marquette November, and it was -3 degrees, and that's not a wind chill. It was about negative, I think 12 was the wind chill in November. And Milwaukee is just a little north of Chicago, south of Green Bay. And we were there for like 3 days or whatever. We came back, Delta flight, really good until we got on approach here by LaGuardia Airport. And the wind was so bad that we were bouncing up and down, up and down. And that's my biggest fear is turbulence. And I didn't fly for many, many years from my childhood all the way until I was about, I think it was 20 years old, actually, or 19 years old. And it was the scariest thing. And all I said was I held on and I just prayed and I said, God, if I die, I don't want to die with all these girls and look like a little baby, because I was this close to like really breaking down in tears. I was like, okay, there's a lot of people out there. And I thought of you right away, Marco. I thought of you right away where you travel the world and you go on planes to LA, to China, wherever it may be. And you do it a whole lot. You went to Bulgaria, and you go into a place where, and there's no disrespect here, but you go in, towards the Middle East area where, it might not be 100% the safest place to go to where you are. Thankfully it was, I hope. But it's very difficult. And just, like a little dinky hour flight and you're on that bouncing thing and you say to yourself, you never want to do it again. But you said it. Could you stay in New York? Yeah. But in my industry, in our industry, with whatever we do to be a writer, you may have to go out there and pitch it to some producer. You may have to go call a game in Detroit or wherever it is. And you have to get over that fear. It's so difficult.
In film specifically, most of the films that are being produced are not actually produced in the United States, just because it's cheaper to shoot elsewhere. So the decisions are made in New York or LA, in the States, but they're being outsourced to places like Bulgaria, Romania, Thailand is a huge place, because it's just so expensive to shoot domestically. I know Atlanta is a massive film city right now, but for independent films like what I'm currently involved in, everything is kind of overseas. And I honestly didn't have a fear of flying until very recently. It just kind of clicked, and I started not liking it as much. But I just end up sleeping throughout most of the flights, so it's actually kind of okay for me.
Yeah.
But it is quite tricky. But one thing I do have to say, traveling does open so much in terms of your kind of perspective on the world, because I've gotten to see cultures that you would never experience unless if you actually went there, and different perspectives, different religions, different ways of life, different views, different everything, and it just helped me kind of become more of a citizen of the world, and that was one of the most enriching things about travel. And I think soccer, all sports in general, not just soccer, but sports also allows that, because I remember the best experience, and I could speak for people like Adam and Ben, the most beautiful experience that I've ever had in the soccer world was when we went to Paris. And Adam was on my team, Ben was on my team, and we were such a strong team that the United States Soccer Federation actually granted us permission to represent the national team. So it was called the Dana Nations Cup, and we were USA. And I was 11 when that happened, and that experience alone is by far the most memorable and collectively our most favorite experience that we've ever had soccer-wise. And I guarantee Adam and Ben would say the same. And it was overseas. I remember we shared the same hotel with the Japanese team. We shared the same hotel as the Brazilians. We played in Parc des Princes Stadium, where is the Paris PSG's home. And we were just surrounded in this opening ceremony. There was like 20,000 people in the stadium, and we were standing next to every nation that was participating. And I think that's where we were kids, but we came back as like young adults, because we just got to see a different side of the world. And it was something that we were not used to. And there was all these things, just like little things, like eating together at the table, shaking everyone's hands when you say goodbye or hello or goodbye, whether it's your coaches, whether it's your teammates, walking together, dressing the same, getting up early, playing against teams that, if you didn't show up, they would have walked all over you. And we would not really have that experience if it was here, because cause we're American and we kind of know, like, okay, we're playing whatever, a team from Florida or whatever, and they kind of come from the same place. But when you're isolated in this environment that's really do or die, especially even if it was at a very young age, but still the quality, the intensity was there and the pressure was there. You really come out of your shell. And I think traveling is the only way to experience that. And like I said, I mean, that experience still carries on after almost 20 years. Yeah. So that's one of the blessings of traveling. And then it also makes you realize how much you actually missed home and how much and like COVID's a great example. I mean, we take so much for granted. Now that we're actually, forcefully stuck at home, we realize how important things are around us and how important family and important friendship and, just like all the things we take for granted. And when you travel so much, you realize how blessed we actually are back home while also enriching yourself. So there's so many pluses in it, but I just wouldn't recommend going as much as I did, because you do get tired as well.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine the jet lag that that you have to deal with, because I know for me, spending a week out in LA and also spending 5 days out in Las Vegas, you come back here and for 3 days, and that's only a 3-hour time difference. I can't even imagine, again, the 12-hour time difference for you, and especially when you go for days at a time and then you're back here on your time.
Sometimes months.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. And for you, where you said, if you can stay here in New York, you would. And, when you're gone for months, you're not even gone. It's almost like you're moving away. It's almost like you're traveling, you're studying abroad almost, for those college kids that are watching this interview right now. You really got to think to yourself, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to be away from home for months, weeks? And
it's easy for them to say yes now, but when they do it, then it's like, all right, then it's kind of survival of the fittest at that point. So there's a lot of stamina that's involved with this.
Yeah. A lot of decision making. And until you actually do it, you really do not know. But to keep moving forward here, ladies and gentlemen, and I know for those that are watching, this broadcast once again is in conjunction with the Euro Youth Football Association and FA Euro, along with the Blackjack Media Networks. Now, FA Euro is a club that has a special place in my heart, that's for sure. And also is Marco Balsamo's club as well. He is the executive director. His father, Joe, is the founder of it. Marco, let's talk about how this club has been affected by the crisis.
Sure. I mean, like we all have, we've been grounded, and it stinks. Just on Wednesday, we had announced our USL League Two season had to end, unfortunately. But it was the right decision that we all collectively took, and all the metropolitan teams in the division. all came together, and it was quite nice to see that. And they agreed, we just can't play. If we were going to end up playing, no fans would be allowed in the stadium, in the fields and everything. So it was, it was it was the right thing to do, and we needed to do what was best for the players and for the community. So that was a kind of a blow to us, because the coaches, the staff, we've been working really hard, and Nicola Baldo, who's our international director, he's been doing a great job bringing players from Italy in. And this was the first year actually that we've had housing prepared. We were going to bring in, I think it was eight international players, all players who played at very high levels. And it's just unfortunate because it was a year that we were very confident. And I really believe it was going to be probably the best year that we would have had. And our goal was to make playoffs. And we were dead serious. And it was the first time we actually started a lot earlier in terms of preparation than before. We already had our team was pretty much decided by early April. So that, that kind of, it is what it is. We also our youth leagues just announced that they've suspended the spring season. So now we have to kind of wait, and hopefully we can return to some sort of normalcy by the summer. Whether that's realistic or not, but we just have to wait and see. But the coaches have been phenomenal. I know they've been having independent Zoom meetings with their team. Adam, Mamadou, Glendon, Angelo, Boris, all the coaches, Ben, they've been doing these weekly challenges where we would issue challenges to the players to kind of participate in, and even some teams that were, there's like leaderboards and who can do the most juggles or whatever, because it's tough. You can't coach from home, and it's difficult. So we really are making the best of what we can, and the parents have been phenomenal, the kids have been phenomenal, the coaches have been terrific, and it's great because we also get to see different sides of kids that you wouldn't necessarily see, because we found creative ways to kind of come together and connect. We're going to actually announce releases sometime this week, but there's Akeem Small on Glendon's 2014. He plays, I don't know what the name of the instrument is, but he plays this kind of like this some sort of drums, where he actually plays the Italian national anthem, and he pays homage to Italy because Italy was hit hard during COVID, and I would never expect, Kimmy, he's a great player and he's a great kid, but who would know he was such a talented musician at that. So it's nice because you get to, the coach sent us videos of how wonderful our kids are off the field, and how just how cool they are as kids and as teenagers and as young adults. So that was really inspiring and motivating to see, because everyone's stuck home. What can we do? But
it's true. Yeah, it's true. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know what? Just going back to what you were saying earlier about making those connections and being personable. Now that also relays into soccer, or that, that crosses over into the soccer world and into the sports world, because you said it, where you have Adam and Ben Marcoux, who are one of the coaches, or two of the coaches rather, and you need to be creative. And right. I could tell you right now, and Marco knows that, and Marco knows this, my creative level is about this much.
You're
and
giving yourself a little too much credit.
Exactly. Here, there you go. Yeah, you got to squeeze these two fingers together. So, one big zero, as our governor says multiple times. But all joking aside, though, you get to learn a lot of who these players are, because when the season is going, it is soccer straight through. And, you get to see some of the personalities on the field, but it's sort of warming to see a lot of these players, their personalities off the field. And sometimes you say to yourself, well, obviously, it really stinks to be home and to be, secluded away from everybody else, obviously for the better. And that's the negative part. But then you also have to look at the positive. And who knows, maybe, with Akeem Small and with what he's doing, playing, some sort of drums, as you were saying, with the Italian national anthem, it could be something big that, maybe someone else hears it and could get him a job somewhere else. And it's not only the job part, but it could bring something to the locker room once soccer season starts again, or they could bring it, they could bring it to the coaches, to even to you guys, to the executive level. There's always a positive somewhere, and that is key for sure.
I think one of the biggest positives in this horrible situation that, everyone's kind of, and the thing is that you do see everyone coming together.
Yeah.
And we're all moving so fast and we're kind of lost in the daily grind of what we do. But now that we're literally forced to take a step back and kind of reevaluate everything, and we have the luxury of time, which is something that we're not really accustomed to. And I'm just amazed and really, really proud of all the work the coaches have done. I'm really proud of our players and of our parents. And I think that's, and I'm not comparing us to anyone else, but I think that's what makes our club different. That's what makes our club a little bit special, because everyone knows each other. So you have Ben, who's all the way at the 2010s, the smallest, and then you have Nicolo at the Angelo at the 2001s, the 2002s. I mean, these are kids that are 10 years apart from each other, but everyone knows each other. Everyone works together. All the coaches work together. It's not like I'm in my little bubble, you're in your little bubble, Adam's in his little bubble. We're all working together, and we all just kind of get it, and it just clicks. And the players understand that. I mean, we did that toilet paper challenge thing where you juggle the toilet paper.
Yeah.
And we've had players like Maxi at the men's team do it, and we also had Joseph Van Strand, who's a 2007 did it. And I mean, the whole club is coming together to do it, and you also kind of just learn so much more about the people involved, and they also get to interact with one another and kind of get these opportunities to just kind of showcase a different light of their personalities. So I think we will come back. I know we're going to come back better than that, but I also think we're going to come back knowing just a little bit more about each other, and that will translate to the chemistry on and off the field.
Yeah, no, and you said it. You said it perfectly. You're going to come back better than ever. But also something else that I want to bring up too, to those about with the travel and everything. You said it earlier about learning about different cultures and seeing the different players that you guys bring in, either from Italy, even from somebody like last year, for instance, Kyle Parrish, Long Island University, Division I soccer player. He's from Australia, and you have a lot of these cultures that blend together. You don't know what they're going to bring to the table. And again, you said it, through creativity, what these coaches have done. And also, what these players can do too. Obviously you have Swedish players, you have Italian players. Hell, you could even have Polish players, but that's a whole nother story for another time. I wouldn't have those on your team. But you also have the American players as well, and it can all blend, and it can be a winning culture, and not only a winning culture, but a positive, family-friendly environment as well. Moving forward, Marco, so you brought up how USL League Two season for the Metropolitan Division is canceled for this upcoming year. 2021 is when FA Euro, Long Island Rough Riders, Manhattan Soccer Club, etc., will be resuming play. And you said you were going to come back better than ever. And to be prepared so early, now moving forward, now next year you can be prepared even potentially earlier. And you can be, obviously it's difficult because you don't want to be over prepared, and potentially it could lose you a whole bunch of games. But now you bring a lot of this experience that you prepared for this year to the table for next year. And that would be pretty cool. But this year, you obviously had someone who signed a professional contract, the second one in 3 years, being midfielder Conor Mcglynn, and we actually had him on as our series premiere, as his time with the Siena Saints in the MAC was complete this year. He is a senior from Middle Village. But he's also been a part of the FA Euro family for the last, I believe, 4 or 5 years, as long as I've been with the club. And this year, he signed with USL Championships, Hartford Athletic. So he was going to make his debut on the professional level if you will. Obviously, USL League Two is considered professional, but the hashtag path to pro, obviously, that is the next step. Talk about what Conor brings to, or brought, past tense, to your club, but also to the USL League Two level, where these guys are looking now are going to be looking up to Conor, and also guys like Leo Fola as well.
I mean, Conor's just an outstanding talent. We've known from day one where he was going to make it, and we were confident. I honestly think he could. I know this is just the beginning for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if through his development that we could even see him potentially in the MLS. He's an excellent player. He's had the most minutes. I took a look at the records, and he's had the most minutes every year since for the past 3 years. For the first year, he was still quite young, but he kind of grew into this tremendous player that he's now, and he deserves it. I mean, his brother also signed a professional contract, so he's in good company. But I honestly think it's stories like Conor, and to see players who really do deserve it, because he's an excellent player and he's just a terrific person. Stories like Conor, like Leo, like Kirill Aaron this year. Kirill also signed in Germany, is a testament to why we do what we do. Our goal is to really be that. So when I was growing up, the team, a professional team, that was the quintessential model of player development was Ajax. It was a Dutch club. Yeah. And growing up, they produced players like Clarence Seedorf, Edgar Davids, Ibrahimovic. So these are players maybe the younger kids don't know, but when we were growing up, these are like these are household names for us. And that model is what we really want to enforce at the club. And we want players to know that they're coming to this club not just to play 2, 3, 4 years, and by the time you're in high school and you go to college, thank you, goodbye, we'll never really see you again. Our idea is to really develop a player from the early stages of development, from basically their childhood, see their development throughout, and then when they get to that crucial point in their life, am I going to take the collegiate path, which will also assist in, but also the professional path. And U.S. soccer, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah. U.S. soccer has completely transformed overnight. I mean, just this past week. But like I mentioned before, we'll speak to that shortly. But I as a player, and my teammates, we've all kind of been frustrated by the system. We've all kind of been frustrated where, like, why isn't there a clear path to pro? And the USL have done, and the reason why we invest so much in the USL and we believe so much in the USL, and because we are USL, is because there's finally a defined path that a player knows, okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I could potentially be, and this is the opportunities that lie ahead. So to see Conor jump from USL 2 straight away to championship, and having the opportunity to actually realize his dream, is something that honestly we didn't have when we were playing before the club and the system kind of shaped and became into place. Because you mentioned PDL, USL League Two is now what was the PDL, but it just became so sophisticated and it became so ingrained in professional soccer that it is the place to be for the players of tomorrow. I mean, the last 2019, the MLS draft, I think it was like 83 players who got called up into the MLS draft played in the USL League Two. That's a ridiculous statistic. That's like, you can't really get better than that. And now we're seeing a trend. So the last 2 years, you had Leo, who made it to Chattanooga, that USL won. Conor, USL Championship, which is right there. And there's some USL Championship teams like Tampa Bay. They're playing in front of 10,000 plus crowds, and they're competing with the MLS. And in some cases, there's even franchises like Orlando City who end up becoming MLS franchises, or like Cincinnati. So they just have amazing opportunities, and we knew that we've had the talent pool that are able to compete at those levels, and now we're seeing the fruits of it. But also this year alone, if you could look at our under 23 team, we had Henry Hisangoli, who made the Albanian national team. We had Nika Metrovelli, who's getting, I don't know if it's going to be delayed because of COVID, but this summer he's supposed to go to Georgia for his national team. So these are our youth players that we're developing that are actually playing for their countries, albeit at a youth level, but it's still an amazing accomplishment. So I think Conor is the perfect example, because Conor's been with us, like you said, since you were with us. I think Conor's been around us since the second year that we've had the USL franchise, up until today. So that is 4 years. And Conor's stuck with it. He's done amazing at Siena. He's done phenomenal at the USL League Two. He worked his way up to becoming captain. Last year, he had the most goals and most assists. And his life completely changed overnight. And now he's playing for a USL Championship club. And we hope and we are confident that Conor, Leo are the first few of what's hopefully to become many players that graduate through our system, both domestically and internationally, because like I said, we work day in and day out to become that club that develops players of tomorrow. And I always use the Ajax model as an example because it just resonates with me on a personal and emotional level. Our goal is that we want, like, when a player comes to FA Euro New York, he knows he's at a club that will see his career out and will help elevate him or hopefully her in the future to the next level. And that's our goal. We're not here to, babysit players and kind of just make parents happy. Our goal, we're in a different business model than that. Our end all is to place as many players in American professional soccer, hopefully in the national team, and domestically in Europe, Asia, wherever it can be on a professional level. So that's what our core, that's our philosophy.
It's a winning culture that you guys, it's a winning culture that you guys give off. And that really, for those that are watching right now, and for some that might even just click on it because they're bored watching YouTube and can't figure out something to watch, but not only extremely informative, but you have to realize is that there are a lot of clubs out there that not only they try and give off a winning attitude, but a lot of it also has to do with, the money aspect. And, do I really care about the kids? No, if they get better, I'm just going to collect I'm just going to collect some money. That's not how you guys roll. You guys want to see kids get better. You guys want to have the Conor Mcglynns of the world and the Leo Folas of the world as role models to this younger generation that comes in, as you said, the 2010s, who were the youngest. You want them to come in and you want them to look and say, I have a dream of being these guys. And you don't know because they're not done growing yet. They're only in their early 20s where they can still propel to the Major League Soccer level, or who knows, they could be playing international. And obviously, United States soccer is getting bigger. It's for sure getting bigger. But obviously it is the most popular sport in the world. As you said earlier, I'm not a soccer guy, but I'm beginning to love it more and more. And working with you guys in this, the past 4 or 5 summers, it's been amazing. And I've begun to love soccer to the point now where I actually have to cover soccer, women's soccer, but still soccer is soccer. But now you bring up the same point. With the different tiers. You brought up USL League Two, where FA Euro New York is a part of. You also brought up USL League One. You also brought up USL Championship as well. There's also one more that there is, I believe that came out not too long ago, Marco. I believe last year they brought it up, and that's USL Academy. Give us a little bit of background about the Academy portion of United Soccer League.
Sure. So, and this is to kind of bring back the previous topic of the youth system in America completely being dismantled overnight. One of the elite leagues in the country, the DA, the Development Academy, which was run by U.S. Soccer Federation, they just basically terminated overnight for whatever reasons, right? And that just was like a collective gut punch for many clubs around. It really doesn't affect us because we just kind of were laser focused on our own path, and we've been communicating with the USL and this is another thing with the clubs around us, like the USL franchises that we work with. We're all friends with the owners and with the technical directors, and we've all wanted the same thing. Just like most players want. We want a clear pathway and somewhere where we know that this is where we want to be because it has our best interests at heart. The reality is that there's a lot of leagues in the country that just don't do that. They don't, because they don't have a tie to the professional level. The USL Academy does, because it's a USL entity. So the USL Academy is going to be so last year, they announced it last year, but they did showcases. So they did these biannual events. We didn't participate in because it was more for teams out in Texas and Florida. It was kind of logistically, it just didn't work. But now they're going to hopefully launch it by spring 2021. They just came out with an article a couple of days ago where they're going to fill the void that's been left from the DA, because now there's this kind of gap. But it's going to be the first pre-professional youth league. And that is something that has never happened before, and it's a massive opportunity. And what we've been seeing is that players are signing professional contracts younger and younger and younger. In that article, there's a 14-year-old who signed a professional contract with OC, with Orange County SC. And imagine 14-year-olds signing professional contracts. Even like for me to grasp my head around that, that's kind of insane. But it's happening. I mean, he's an American player, and we are collectively investing in American soccer, American youth soccer, because we really do believe that there's gems that need to be unearthed and polished and developed, because there's so many players that are excellent that fall to the wayside because they don't have this proper pathway. And the USL are bold enough to step in, address the elephant in the room, and say, okay, now we are going to dictate what we feel is best. And the USL Academy is that. The specifics of the actual league have not been announced yet. I can't publicly state them, but I've been in conversations with the league, and I could tell you this is the first time, I think, probably in my professional life of soccer, that I am looking forward to as much as this. This is almost as monumental as an announcement as when we actually got the USL League Two, because this gives all our youth players something to kind of look forward to and something to attain. And the USL Academy is working with all the USL club teams, because the USL Championship teams, USL League One teams, and the USL League Two teams will be participating in, with the idea of finding talent and signing talent to professional contracts. There's not a league in the country that does this, and I am very proud to be a small part of it. I'm very proud to be involved in the back room conversations on a diplomatic level, and kind of how all the politics are involved and all that stuff. But the people who are behind it are excellent people. Liam O'Connell is the director of USL Academy currently, and he's phenomenal. And they're soccer people who get it, and it is just going to launch us into another level. And I know our players are ready for it, and we're very excited to share whenever we're allowed to, what those announcements and how it's going to transpire. But it is going to take some time, and we do have the time because it's going to probably take a year before it actually kicks off. So we'll work parallel to the USL League Two team. I could tell you, if anyone has questions about it, they could visit the USL Academy's page. We're going to put something up on our website, and I think in year one it's going to be the U15 to the U19 group. And like I said, you'll see a lot of players coming out of that system and kind of achieving that path to pro. So very exciting stuff, and these are game changers in American soccer.
Yeah, and especially now with the closing, or with the with the shuttering, or termination, or whatever we want to call it, of the development academy. And I remember I heard it last week, and I thought it was some sick joke. And I didn't realize that was a really big thing in American soccer, to develop these American players. And and then when you see certain things and you think to yourself, well, I'm not really a soccer guy, so I try and add 1+1 in soccer language, and it's so difficult to see, or to really understand how significant or what that meant to a lot of young up and coming players, and now how much more significant the United Soccer League really is going to be to that younger talent to eventually get to where they want to get to, also known as the path to pro. And that's something where FA Euro comes in as well. We're going to get to that in a second, because I want to continue with the partnerships that you've made along the way. And this, again, it all comes full circle, Marco, my goodness, I call you Marco. It comes full circle. And we spoke about the relationships that you make when you're in Indonesia, the relationships that we make when you're in Bulgaria, the relationships that you make when you go down the street or wherever you go. And one of the places that you've made a huge connection, both you and your father, both of you guys, are in, you guys work together beautifully, father, son, to run this amazing club. FA Euro Bridgeview is a partnership that you guys have with a soccer team that's in Brooklyn as well. But really, I think it's time for you to discuss what Bridgeview means to not only the city of New York, but also to FA Euro.
Sure. So FA Euro Bridgeview it's basically FA Euro. So it's the directors of that program are Elshan Gambarov and Oleg Sarmo, who they quickly integrated within the family, and they just kind of, same mindset, soccer people through and through. But they also have a vision. They're very, very ambitious to make a difference in the game. What FA Euro Bridgeview specializes in is that grassroots level, which is something that we weren't necessarily as concentrated in terms of like the travel side of it. So like 11, 10, 11, all the way up. They focus on kids that are very young. So you're looking at like 5, 6, 7. And they just do an amazing job. And we have a wonderful facility out in Match Point in Bensonhurst by Caesars Bay. And it's just a state-of-the-art facility where kids who want to become introduced and acclimated to the sport of soccer at a very young age, in our area, there's honestly no better place. And it's not like FA Euro Bridgeview does their own thing and FA Euro New York do their own thing. All our coaches are working together. All of us are under the same philosophy, and we work together day in and day out. So basically, FA Euro Bridgeview is that grassroots, I don't want to say intramural, but the kind of that grassroots development sector that's more focused on fun, because you have to have fun at that age to play soccer. Because if you're not having fun playing a sport, there's no reason to play the sport. I mean, that's just the way it should be. But their sole objective is to take the players as young as possible. Sometimes they even go as early as 4 years old, and develop the players. And then once those kids are ready, they fall into the FA Euro New York umbrella. And I can't think of two better people, and also the FA Euro Bridgeview coaches, who are our coaches, to basically run that. And they do a terrific job working with younger kids. And it takes a certain type of person to be able to have engagements with kids at younger levels, but also to kind of grasp their attention, to grasp their kind of interest, and to make them fall in love with the sport, because it's very difficult. But they have done an amazing job, and they have a proven track record of being able to do that. So we announced it a little earlier last year, but obviously it was year one. A lot of things that building and just taking time. But we're looking very forward to going full force with that, with this relationship in fall 2020, hopefully when everything comes back. And like I said, the goal is the travel teams are with us, and all the youngsters who want to kind of become engaged would go through them. And like I said, Oleg and Elshan are family to us, and they're phenomenal. And we're going to have a lot more information over the next few weeks that's going to be discussing like camps and all clinics and all that stuff for parents to kind of get their kids engaged. So something that we're very excited about, we're very proud of, and we've been working on for quite some time.
Okay, so now you've brought up with Bridgeview and everything along those lines, where they all fall under the the Euro Youth Football Association umbrella. And you said it also, and this is something that I need to bring up because I really find it fascinating all the time. And I have cousins who are teachers, and they teach in school, and one is a kindergarten teacher. And I say to myself, those people, that includes my cousin-in-law, if you will, it's very difficult, in my opinion, because maybe that's just who I am. I'm not a, I don't know, I'm not a younger kid person, but they're special people, because you need to know how to teach someone certain things. You need to say it in a certain way that would, go into the child's mind, and where he needs to love it. Not doesn't need to love it, but wants to learn. And at a young age like that, you think of, all right, well, these kids are going to be playing toys, or playing with toys. They're going to be, kicking a soccer ball into a net for fun, like backyard recreational stuff. And for these coaches, including, and your whole staff, to be doing that is beyond remarkable. And to find two of the best coaches to do that in the city of New York is really unbelievable. And to be under the Euro Youth Football Association umbrella is truly inspirational, remarkable. I don't even know if that's a word, whatever it may be. Seriously is. Where can we find out more information about all of everything FA Euro for those that could be watching that are not a part of the club now?
I mean, our social media pages do a great job, but I mean, the best introductory thing would be to go through faeuro.com. So like plug. But basically the club website, there's a bunch of information, but also our social media channels. We're also going to be announcing we're going to be presenting a keynote sometime end of May, where it's going to outline the evolved direction of the club and all the programs, and we'll be posting that also on our website and social media pages. But that would be a great tool for anyone interested in the club to kind of join and learn a little bit more about us. But like I said, I mean, it's a digital world. You can access anything instantly. So just feel free to check us out on our website or our social media pages.
Yeah, and for those, just in case if there were a couple of hiccups here, both either on my end or Marco's end, we do apologize. With everyone being home, internet is sometimes lagging. We can only do what we can. Just for those that do not know, on Twitter at FA Euro, also Instagram at FA_Euro, and also on the Facebook page, search FA space Euro. FA Euro New York is down in Brooklyn. What's the exact town? I guess it would just be Brooklyn and
we play
17th Avenue around that area. New Utrecht, there it is.
Yeah. Well, we also play in different venues. So I mean, technically, the club office is based in Bensonhurst. We're at 7707 17th Avenue. So parents could just come in if they want to register. But we play between Bensonhurst, Dyker Heights, and Pier 5. I forgot the neighborhood of Pier 5, but Pier 5.
So Pier 5 at Brooklyn Bridge Park. That the only reason why I know that is because St. Francis plays there as well, and that is a fun time in the fall. But now moving forward to our to the final part of our little conversation / interview. First off, Marco, I can't thank you enough for being here and giving the time also to speak with the Eastern Observer, the Blackjack Media Networks, and also in conjunction cross promotion with your own club. So it's really a fun time here on a Friday evening where it's a little rainy outside, nothing else really to do, or doing your toilet paper challenge or coaching or even writing a movie. You're giving us the time, and we really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, last year, for those that do not know, USL League Two, United Soccer League, FA Euro, plays in there with in the Metropolitan Division. Last year, there were teams such as the Lehigh Valley United, Reading United AC that are no longer a part of that division. This year's division would have been the Westchester Flames, the Manhattan Soccer Club, which was actually formed for the USL League Two side, I believe last year. That was their inaugural season. The New York Red Bull 2, Long Island Rough Riders, the aforementioned FA Euro New York. You could see the crest on Marco's sweatshirt with the Araya patch as well. And also, I believe there is one more team on there. Oh, did I say the New York Red Bull? Did I say that?
It's New York Red Bull, Long Island Rough Riders, Westchester Flames, and us and Cedar Stars Rush.
Cedar Stars, that's it. Yes, Cedar Stars Rush. And for those that do not know, they play out of, or they are based out of Fairleigh Dickinson University. They play over there. So last year, to get back to things that matter. Last year, you guys played at Poly Prep Country Day School, and that is down by Fort Hamilton. In addition to the team playing down at the aforementioned Poly Prep, you, Marco Balsamo, are the varsity boys head soccer coach and also the director of soccer. And in addition to this little partnership, once again, full circle, you've made that connection / partnership, and also they've made that your new home. Angelo Orlando also is the junior varsity head coach. How did you land that one?
So it was a phone call. It was actually kind of fortuitous. It was at the time my first year there. I was the assistant coach under Jerry Stone, who was the current varsity head coach at the time. And he's been there for, I think, 28 years. And he, a wonderful, wonderful guy, a staple of Poly soccer. And it was his last year. So they called and they wanted someone to kind of fill in and kind of be under his wing and potentially take up the mantle after he would step down. So I did. So the first year I was there, I was the assistant coach, and I was fortunate enough to work with an amazing athletic director, Richard Corso, also, guy with the Italian background. And we just clicked right away, and I loved the program. The players are wonderful players, really smart kids, but they played really good soccer. And it's rare that you get to see a high school team that plays well. So after the year, they approached me and they said, "Hey, why don't what are your thoughts about becoming the varsity head coach?" And then a light bulb kind of turned on, and we said, "Why don't we partner up the club with the school?" And our goal is to kind of work together where we would develop the Poly soccer program and hopefully FA Euro kids, FA Euro players would go to Poly, and they have a wonderful facility. So, but the thing was, I didn't want to just coach the varsity team. My idea was to build Poly's program in a similar way that we do it to the club, where we would work from the middle school all the way up to the varsity, with the intention also of giving Poly students a full year program, because high school soccer is, preseason's in late July, you're done by early November, so it's only 3 months of the year, and there are kids who are clamoring for a full year soccer. Fall right aligns itself perfectly with our philosophy, with our club. And if they would train with our club, we know that we can develop them and help them improve and work, and they would just be so much better by the time the high school athletic season kicks in. So I had a straight, honest conversation. I said, "Listen, I'll work with the varsity program. I'm honored to take the job, but I want the whole pie, so to speak, on the boys' side." So we brought in Angelo Orlando. We brought in Joseph Cayenne, who's also the goalkeeping coach. Vincent is going to be coaching the middle school team next year.
Wow, okay.
With Joseph. And the idea is that we wanted it to be a true partnership with the club, because Poly is a very ambitious school that they want to win, and they have a winning mentality, but they want to win the right way, and their model of being professional goes across the board. So they want to do everything the proper way, and they want to be examples and they want to stand out from other schools. So it's just a natural integration. It was just a kind of a marriage that just happened seamlessly. And it's a long-term project. Like I said, the goal is to develop as many players as we can. I mean, yeah, just yesterday, there was a Poly alum, like we mentioned earlier in the conversation, a Poly alum to play in the NFL. Poly have great players that
Yeah.
can play, that can potentially play for the USL League Two. I mean, we've had last year, we were at the Viaggio Cup and we took Harry Sankey, who just signed for Northeastern Division One. We took him and he played at the Viaggio Cup. He played against Parma. He did really well. That same year in December, we took Jack Brace, who was a defender. He played against Sao Paulo when we went to IMG. So there's talent there, but they don't know the system as much as we do, in terms because they're kids and they don't know where is the right place to go. So the fact that FEO works hand in hand with Poly means that we're developing the players on the right way, but also it's under our supervision, it's under our club. So I'm very excited about it. And this was the first year I was the varsity head coach. The JV team only lost 2 games. So they won the JV championship. Varsity, we lost in the semifinal against Trinity for our division. But I'm very excited about the future. And like I said, there's going to be a lot more inner workings between FAO New York and Poly. So I'm very proud of that. And also it's our home. It's going to be the home field for the USL Academy, and as it has been, it's going to be the home for our League Two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, and I keep saying this, it comes full circle. It's the genuine, and you said it earlier, you're genuine and you speak to people, not phony or not anything along those lines. And you can have a partnership and you could be playing at one of the best private high schools / middle schools in the whole borough of Brooklyn. And to have the background of Poly Prep and also the Verrazano Narrows Bridge just to the western goal, to the left of the west goal. It's an amazing sight. It's also an amazing partnership that I can see. And again, for those that are watching, Poly Prep Country Day School, seriously, everybody, I was there when St. Francis played there. I think it was 4 or 5 games. And who knows, that's there's a lot of growth, a lot of great people there. And as you could see, FAO and Marco took full advantage of that. And now they're building something great. It's a rebuilding project, not only for the school, but also for the club as well. But it's also that partnership that you can see eventually grow and blossom into something humongous. Really, really cool stuff. And you got to take those sacrifices. And you said it, Marco. It's those sacrifices to get to that next level and to where you want to get to. And with you being in your late 20s, it's only going to grow from here. So it's really remarkable. And just, I'm blessed to have you on here, for me to know you, to be friends with you. Can't thank you enough for doing this here tonight, the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series, episode number 6, and being my 6th guest.
My pleasure. I just got a text message from from Agatha, and she says Polish players are the best.
Oh, are they now?
So you have to report to your fellow compatriot there.
Oh, I have to. Well, hello, Agatha, from wherever you are in Sarasota.
If you're in Florida.
So well, and I hope she's enjoying all of the heat down there, because I can only. I'm kind of jealous of you right now, because here it's raining and it's about 45 degrees, but hopefully it'll be in the 90s shortly. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry to interrupt. For those.
No, you're good.
Agatha, for those who don't know her, she is one of our directors of media and worked with Joey, and she was one of the brains behind the Forces series Viaggio documentary that we shot.
Yes, of course. So I didn't bring that up. I apologize.
No problem. I would highly recommend people to watch that, especially for younger players, because it shows you a lot of what no one will really see unless if you're a player behind the scenes at a very competitive, high pressure situation level. So I just want to give her a shout out, because she did a terrific job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, that is something that that's on my to-do list to watch, because I remember, I remember hearing about this way in the beginning stages of all this happening. And really it's something amazing, that, and this is, and again, this is a full compliment here, where a lot of people would say, well, FA Euro is a small club, and how can you do something so big like this Forza series, and this production that is so professional? And again, it is extremely remarkable, to see this. I can't wait to watch this. But Marco, where can we find this?
It's an online exclusive, so that you have to go on faeuro.com to check it out. Parts 1 and 2
Okay,
are
so
out, and it's going to be 5 parts. Hopefully, the third part will be out by the end of May. It's just been a little bit slower because of COVID. But parts 1 and 2 are now available, and we will make announcements when 3, 4, and 5 will be ready.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this broadcast has been in conjunction with the Euro Youth Football Association. The executive, Marco Balsamo, has been gracious enough to be with us here on this Friday evening. We cannot thank you all enough for tuning in for about an hour and a half. It's been a fantastic conversation that both my friend Marco and myself have been having. For those, again, who are watching and who are not familiar with FA Euro, please log on to faeuro.com for more details. Also, do not forget, follow them on Twitter at FA Euro, on Instagram at FA_Euro, and also on Facebook at FA Euro. Marco, thank you so much for joining me here on episode number 6 of the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series. Ladies and gentlemen, episode number 23 of the Primetime Rundown will come to you tomorrow night from 7 to 9 p.m. Myself, Nick Partain, Tyler Riddell will be welcoming our guest and New York Giants fan, Rob DeLuca, and we will be discussing the NFL draft the entire way. Also, the return of golf is also going to be something big. And also UFC 249. Will there be consequences if there are people that get sick on said island by Dana White? Also, preview of episode number 7 with my successor at St. John's University, Brendan Myers of WSJU The Voice. That will be on Monday, April 27th, beginning at 6 p.m. For Marco Balsamo, everyone at FA Euro, myself, Joey Jarzynka, the Eastern Observer, and the Blackjack Media Networks, I'm Joey Jarzynka once again. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Joey.